Okay. Hi. So, what I will try to do is, are you able to see this diagram?
Yes,
Yes? Okay.
yes.
Okay. So, first of all, namaste to all of you. So, what I will do is, I know we went through the slokas from Bhagavata, we tried to define all these things. Till one point, we stopped, I know that. But I would like to give a short recap of that, so that, and also take questions so that all of us, have reasonable clarity. It will take a long time. I don't know, it may even get long, multiple janmas to get total clarity of this. Uh, when I say clarity, not theoretical clarity, but internalizing, realizing that what this talks about, that will take quite some time. So to ensure that um, we all go from these conversations, I don't know how many more times we'll have. I mean, how long will this course run? I don't know, but we go from these conversations we are having with reasonable understanding of the structure. Um, what is the structure? On the one hand, I would call it as there's a psyche of living beings in general and human beings in particular, the structure of the psyche, I would say. Or I would say, from the process point of view, it is cognitive psychology as to why, first of all, how people perceive things. When I say things, is external objects as well as internal objects in the mind, thought, etc. And more importantly, how do people interpret them differently for the same signals is something which we need to clearly understand. Who is the agency? What is the agency which really acts when we do the action? Who is the agency, or which is part of our psyche or our structure itself, which enjoys good, bad, ugly? We have to understand. And what is that entity which goes when this body is gone, when the body dies? What is that entity which goes, and how does it carry forward the impressions for the next innings? These are some of the things which we need to understand. This is precisely what um, Devahuti, the mother of sage Kapila, asked the same thing. She is asking all these questions, right? So we said, if we go back and see, since we talked about Purusha, first let me give a structure, bare names, and then try to go and see from the previous conversations. Um, some kind of recap. Okay, let me. We had to go 2-3 conversations before. Okay, so we say these are the 5 bhutas. Can you see the arrow pointing? Yeah, can you see?
No, no,
Oh,
I don't.
you don't see the arrows moving?
No.
Oh, that is probably only internal for me. Okay, that movement cannot be shared. Looks like, doesn't matter. You see the 5 elements under bhutas, right?
No, yeah, I can
Pancha.
see. Yeah.
Let us roughly say,
Hmm.
these Panchabhutas are the ones which constitute the external universe. Okay?
Yes.
Then there are senses, jnanendriyas, eyes, ears, skin, so on and so forth, which pick up signals at the contact with one or many of these Panchabhutas.
Yes.
The contact of the senses with these Panchabhutas is called the Sannikarsha. They need to get contacted somehow, which will automatically trigger some signals being picked up. The signals being picked up would vary depending upon the specific body which you occupy, whether you occupy a human body, animal body, worm, birds, whatever, plant, whatever you occupy, depending upon that, the different kinds of signals will be picked up. But basically, it will be picked up. That much is clear.
Yes.
Those signals go into a repository called manas, mind, which is full of, it's like a big I would say a big pan of water which is boiling. I would say lot of bubbles happening there. The signals come, and something else also comes, due to which it bubbles quite a lot. Agitation takes place. Crudely, I'm saying manas. Generally, they call it as a chitta, which is a combination of manas plus something else also, which I will explain now. But then it's not like when we make tea, we put a water in a large pan, put a lot of tea leaves, switch on the gas, and keep watching. It's not like that. Where we are different from the teapot in our day-to-day life. The teapot is also inside us as far as this whole structure is concerned. That means there is something inside us which watches the teapot and influences the teapot to boil differently for the same kind of tea leaves, same kind of water. What is that? And also, we don't say the teapot is boiling because this is part of us. We say, I am boiling, as if I am the teapot. That I identification has to come because mind is in us, all thoughts are in us, all signals which senses pick up is also in us. Therefore, we have to assume now we are the teapot. Therefore, we are now going to say, instead of saying that tea water is boiling in the teapot, we're going to say, I am boiling because I am the teapot. Then we need another faculty to say, I am the teapot. I am boiling. That means then, in the first case, I am the teapot. There has to be an identification, self-identification with the faculty which is boiling. Then only you can say, I am the teapot. Plus, kartrutva, bhoktrutva. That is, doership and enjoyership has to be there. Only then you can say, oh, I am boiling. I'm boiling more, I'm boiling less. I feel heat more, I feel heat less. Right? For example, we know that there are, if I am the jaggery, for example, instead of tea, water and tea leaves, if I am the jaggery, it's going to take a lot of time and heat to really melt. I am not a vegetarian, but I believe that if I am meat, I'm assuming it will take a lot more time to energy to really cook it rather than make tea. That means there is something, in addition to this identification principle that I am the teapot, I am boiling, etc., something else which tweaks, decides enough heat, not enough heat, enough time, not enough time. It's really boiled to the right level, not boiled. These are all judgmental calls. Right? We would have seen, in our house, men folk or women folk who make sweets with, when they make the sugar syrup, they heat sugar and melt it. They will also touch it and do this and say, is enough, not enough. They use it as judgment, right? Likewise, there has to be a judgmental factor. Therefore, we need an intelligence principle which knows to judge. So, after judging, it gives a decision also. You have heated right enough amount of time. If you keep it for 1 more second or 5 more seconds, your dosa will be burnt. Then automatically it gives a signal to the karmendriyas, activities oriented elements. Go and switch off that heater, gas stove. So an action results through karmendriya based on a judgmental command from buddhi, which observes what is happening in the mind, the chitta, which is a combination of buddhi, self-identification principle, and the mind. And that judgment is based on whatever is happening here in chitta, into which input from the external world was picked up by these jnanendriyas. Right? All this has happened because Prakriti or nature has codified how things should happen in the universe. Rules are there. If you light a fire, it will be heating. If you touch a fire, it will burn your hand. If you touch a very, very cold object for a long time, even that can cause skin burn. These are all rules engine. Rules engine is a Prakriti. Without getting into the philosophical metaphysical debates about who wrote the rule engines, we'll not talk about it in this conversation. It's given. There's the rules engine, Prakriti. Every entity in the universe has to follow this rules engine. The whole thing is powered as it were. If an engine has to run, it has to be powered either by gasoline or electric battery. Otherwise, the engine will not run. Therefore, we recognize there is an element which drives all these activities, provides the basic raw energy, quote unquote. Because these are all these activities involve signals, decisions, likes, dislikes, these kind of things, not physically running alone. They propose a Purusha entity which is all intelligence. But it does not get involved in the activity. It just gives the raw power and watches everything happening. Like, for example, if you all have electric vehicles, the battery keeps watching. It doesn't do anything other than giving the power. You go high speed, low speed, climb a mountain, or you forget the charge, the whole thing goes dead, battery goes dead, it only watches. It doesn't do anything else. Likewise, it's a good example, nevertheless, to make a point. Likewise, the Purusha Tattva in us is merely a weight mass. Now, coming back to the question which Naveen asked during the question session today, who am I, I kept on asking, right? That is precisely what Devahuti was asking. And then our Kapila Muni said, Atate sampravakyami tattvanam lakshanam pratak yad viditva vimuchyeta purushaha prakrute gunai. Then he was telling, you have to understand, right? The Purusha and Prakriti, Purusha, Prakriti, Gunai. Yeah. What is their relevance? How do they act? How do they act? Why do they act, etc.? If this knowledge is the one which is going to help you. Atate some prabhakshyami. Here I'm going to tell you, Tattvanam Lakshana Pratak. Right? This is called self-knowledge. Trying to understand all this is called self-knowledge. Anadi Atma Purusho Nirguna Prakrute Paraha Pratya Dhama Swayam Jyotir Vishwam Yena Samanvitam. This Purusha is Anadiratma Purushaha, unoriginated entity, which is present in all of us. Anadiratma Purusho. And what is that? Nirgunaha Prakrute Paraha. Is Nirguna. It is attributeless. This attributeless is from our point of view. We cannot tell what it is. It is there. I mean, if you want to crudely say, it is some of the axioms which we use in mathematics, from which we derive all equations. Certain things are given. For example, what is a straight line is given. Straight line being non-dimensional entity. Shortest distance between 2 points, if you connect them with a non-dimensional entity, it is called a straight line. What is a non-dimensional entity? How can non-dimensional stuff can be entity? But that we have to start with that. Then you build other surfaces, definition of other surfaces, hexagon, octagon, sphere. From this only you can define other things. Therefore, some of this axiomatic principle in mathematics is roughly what is called anadiratma, unoriginated. And because it cannot have any definition, because we create definition post facto, that is why it becomes nirgunaha, prakrute paraha. It is beyond the realm of Prakriti nature. What I talks about rule engine. It is beyond. Yeah. Pratyak Dhama Swayam Jyoti Vishwam Yena Samanvitam. God is omnipresent. It is Swayam Jyoti. It is not dependent on anything else for its knowledge, wisdom, intelligence, principle, illuminating capability, Swayam, so on and so forth. It's called the Swayam Jyoti, right? Yena Vishwam Yena Samanvitam. Because of this Purusha principle alone, the entire things in the all the things in the universe, entire universe as it were, is sustained. That is the Purusha. And we have that Purusha principle. Either you treat the whole universe as one entity or our individual as another entity, as another class of entity. Either way, the Purusha Tattva, which is Anajiratma, unoriginated, Nirgunaha, beyond the attributes, Prakrute Paraha, beyond all the natures, raw rules and jinn, Pratyak Dhama, omnipresent, Swayam Jyoti, self-illuminated entity, and Vishwam Yena Samanvitam. Everything is sustained by that. Now, this is the Purusha which you are asking, Abhi. This is the
But,
Purusha.
but why did we create this Purusha Tattva? Because it's similar. It sounds very similar to the Narayana Tattva or Ishvara Tattva.
Very true, very true. That is again you have to go back and say that Devahuti was asking all sorts of questions.
No, but
Right?
is this created because we want to separate Purusha Tattva and Ishvara Tattva? Is this why we created Purusha Tattva?
No. I think that's where you're jumping the gun because we know a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
That is the ultimate viewpoint. Right? See, trying to have a conversation about what happened before the creation of universe. Right? Before the Big Bang, to use this cosmological conversation, physical cosmological conversation. What happened before the Big Bang? Because mathematically, when Einstein tried to solve all these issues, we got into what is called the singularity principle problem. Well, the entire universe had to exist in a non-dimensional, zero-dimensional space, which is mathematically untenable. Right? Therefore, they had to postulate a singularity principle where all mathematical domain fails. Or not ordinary mathematics, not just spherical mathematics, tensor calculus, everything fails at the singularity point. Remember this. What does this statement say? This statement said, Nirgunaha Prakrute Paraha, Prakrute Paraha, where all rules engine break down. So we're talking about the singularity point here, like the cosmologists are trying to talk. That is when we discuss universe as an entity, like what you could call in software as probably as a master class, parent class. Now we go to the child class we're talking about is individual human living beings, human beings. It is similar in structure. That means there is some kind of a powering entity, illuminating entity in us, which is beyond the rules engine which govern our body, mind, intellect, etc. Your question is jumping the gun because this is what later people asked. Who is this Purusha in us? Who is that mega Purusha in the universe? I'm sorry to use that name, just to differentiate I'm using. Who is that mega Purusha in the universe? Who is the Purusha in us? Are they one and the same? Are they different? If they are different, what is the connection between them? Who is superior? Who is inferior? Who gets powered by who? These are all the questions which came later. But in this Devahuti conversation, he will go there. At this point in time, Devahuti is asking some basic questions. Who are we? Why is that we are suffering? Right? I forgot all this question, asked this question to my husband, who was a wise man. I was so focused on building family, wealth, etc. Therefore, I'm asking you. At any rate, my husband told me, you, his own son, is far superior to himself. So I'm asking you. That is the question, if you remember. It's a starting point conversation. So he said, let me explain to you. First of all, let us understand how we are structured, how we pick up signals. What happens when we pick up signals? What is likes? What is dislikes? Why should we have different likes and dislikes? Right? If you remember, I mentioned Karela or the bitter gourd example multiple times. Why should somebody like it, somebody hate it? Why? Either bitter gourd as a fruit or a vegetable, it has the same identical property to everybody. But somebody doesn't like. Why? These are the basic questions. I won't say basic in the sense of silly questions. I am saying there are fundamental building blocks. Then you got to go further. So therefore, they're trying to say, rather not they, I mean the Kapila is trying to explain. First of all, let us understand how we are structured. We have sensors like what is it called? Alexa or Google or something. They have sensors. No microphone listen to you, your command. There are sensors which picks up signals from the external internal world, present the signal to mind, the rather Chitta, and different people react differently to it. Buddhi decides, intelligent principle decides, based on the rules engine which governs, it decides, commands the activity center, which is it's got its own legs, fingers, eyes, tongue, so on and so forth, which can act. This is explaining how signals are picked up, interpreted, and acted upon. From this, is going to develop other things. To show that everything is powered, Purusha is introduced this concept of Purusha, saying that Anadiratma Purusha, unoriginate Purusha, Nirguna. You cannot explain it. Not possible. It's axiomatic, as it were. Prakrute Paraha, beyond the rules engine here. Pratyak Dhama, Swayam Jyoti, Vishwam Yena Samanvita. That is the Purusha. Sa esha prakritim sukshmam devim gunamayim vibhuhu yadrutyeva pagatam abhyapadyatha leelaya reinforces that axiomatic principle saying sa esha prakritim sukshmam devim gunamayim vibhuhu, right? Yadrichevo, by own volition, Leelaya, as it were at play, accepted on Purusha's own volition. Sa esha prakritim suksham devi gunamayam vibhuhu. Please understand, all this attributeful presence he took voluntarily. Devi, whenever we talk about gods, avatars, etc., that was, in fact, Naveen was asking, even when Ishvara comes down, so-called Ishvara Tattva comes down as avatara, as gods, they subject themselves voluntarily to this rules engine. That's the difference. As human beings, other jivas, we are compelled, we are conditioned, we are fated to follow the rule engine. We cannot break it. Prakriti rule engine. But when gods come, Ishvara comes as avatara, etc., their volition, right? Yadrichevo pagatham, right? Abhyapadyatha leelaya, as it were, played. He's decided to act a play. When it was, for example, if you believe in Rama, we have to say, of his own volition, he decided to be born as a prince. He decided to subject himself to be appointed as a prince, as the next ruler by the father and that astrologer, he allowed himself to be cheated of that by Keki's objection. He allowed himself to go to forest. He allowed himself to lose, have his wife abducted by Ravana, suffer, cry, search for her, fight with Ravana, destroy, he will come back, and so many other things which he did. We are compelled. In this case, it is yadritya of subordination. That is the difference. Because I know people will ask, oh, if you think Purusha, what is that Purusha? This, can you give me? People will not wait. Let's build it up. At a later time, I'll explain. People will not wait. No, right now, tell me. I have a doubt. That is also Purusha. This is also Purusha. Means what is this? What can you give me? What is one difference? Yeah, I'll tell you one difference. That one difference is, again, using a different name to denote the point, that Mahapurusha binds himself to the rule engine on his own volition as it is a game he's playing. Whereas you are bound by the rule engine. Willy-nilly, you have to follow that. By compulsion, you have to follow the rule engine. Right now, take it, that is a big difference. In other words, the Mahapurusha has control over Prakriti. You don't. Simple Purusha, you don't. There's one way of just answering you because you already got a doubt. And if I tell you, please wait for 6 months. When we get that conversation, I'll explain. You mean not necessarily you, anybody, I'm saying. No, I got a doubt. Can you clarify a little bit now? Give me one point which I can hold on to. Because even to hold on with patience for 6 months with the same level of interest and commitment, some minimum answer is required. That's how human beings are wired. If a minimum answer is not given to satisfy the curiosity now, very soon that person will lose interest in the conversation. Oh my God, he's taking for ages. I don't know when he's going. Like, for example, there are movies we are seeing, some movies are 3 or 4 hour movies. Sometimes people lose patience, saying, oh my God, I can't sit here for 3.5 hours. They walk out. After the movie, they go away. We have seen that. But some movies are very interesting, people hold on. But I believe, I don't know, we have to, I'm probably, exaggerating. For those movies which are very long, can only retain the audience till the end, only if they provide intermittent answers for what the audience are looking for. So, Kapila, I would say, again, it's my interpretation. Kapila, just to satisfy the curiosity, he tells that, he's on his own volition. Yeah? Gunair vichitraha sujatin swarupaha prakritim prajaha vilokya mumuhe sadhyaha sa iha jnana guhayaha. Gunair vichitraha sujatin sarupaha. Sarupaha means so many different types of entities are there. So many varieties of human beings are there. You are not same, I am not same, similar to each other. We are different. All of us are different from animal world. Animals are different from bird world, so on and so forth. Sujatim sarupaha. Variety, multitudes of various forms are created. How? Gunain vichitraha prakritim prajaha. The guna mix is so different. That creates a multiplicity of entities. Right? Vilokya mumuhe sadhyaha. Without understanding why they are different, people get deluded. Please understand. Sahe jnana guhya. Please understand this secret. Therefore, he's trying to slowly build up, having told that Prakriti on his own volition. He's trying to build up. You see difference. You ask. You didn't ask. Your husband, my father, all these questions for a long time, and now you're asking why. Whereas I know by birth, I know all these things. Why? That means I am different from you. Even though my father knew all these things, when you asked, he did not answer. Why? Instead of that, he said, no, I am going to the forest. Our sun is brighter than me. He will teach you. Why did he take the decision? Instead of going to forest, he could have stayed around and explained whatever explained I am giving, he could have given. Why didn't he give? I mean, I'm not saying he said all those things or he implied all those things. I am saying these things to show within just three people. Devahuti, her husband, and the son Kapila. Just three people, you see the difference. Same family. You see the difference. Why? Kuder vijitraha sutim saropaha. Prakrutim prajaha. Multiplicity of entities are created because Guna makes his difference. Evam paravidyanena kartritvam prakrute puman. Karmasu kriya mameshu maneshu punairatma manyute. Without evam paravidyanena, without proper understanding all these things, kartritvam prakrute puman. Karmasu kriya maneshu gunairatmani manyate. Without understanding this principle, people think that I am the one who is doing. Not understanding that the difference in the guna mix is the one which is making them do. They are not the doers. They are compelled to take a particular decision. As I was explaining in the beginning of this conversation, drawing software structure as a reference, the buddhi element decides differently for different people because the subroutine, which is called, goes to a data table, picks up coefficients of activities, and those coefficients of activities are different for different people based on the guna mix. Therefore, in reality, you are not deciding, oh, I am deciding to do it. No. You are being compelled to act because the data table, the guna mix coefficients and other coefficients are different. Instead of understanding this, you are thinking you are kartrutram. You think I am the doer. Yeah? Tatasya samsriti bandhaha paratantram cha tatkritam bhavatya kartur ishasya sakshino nirvritat manaha. Yeah? Tadasya samsriti bandha. They get bound. Paratantram tatkritam. You get bound. Paratantram, you lose independence. Once you are bound, you are not being desired. You are not the decider. Yeah? Though they are not the doers, they somehow sakshino nivritat manaha. They are merely witnesses. Instead, they think they are the doer. They think so. Karya karana kartrutve karanam prakritim viduhu bhoktrutve sukha dukhanam purusham prakrute param. Karya karana kartrutve. Karya means the specific activity. Karana means why that activity is being done. Kartrutva is who is the agent who decides to do a particular thing. Karanam prakritim viduhu. Please know, all these things happening because of this rules engine dictate. Bhoktrutve sukhadukanam purusham prakrite param. This sense of this belief that I am the doer, prakriti, that is the reason. Sukha dukhanam, all the joy and misery which you are bhoktrutvam, which you are enjoying, which you are suffering from, is because of that. Purusham prakrite param. While the Purusha, you are merely a witness here, which is beyond the rules engine, beyond the Prakriti. Because of the self-identification that I am the ruler, you get agitated because I am the teapot. I am getting heated. I am the steak which is overheated. I am the dosa which is burnt. Because of such decisions you are taking based on this doership which you put on yourself, That is why you enjoy and suffer. This is the root cause of joy and misery. Then, like you people are asking, Devahuti asked, Prakrute Purushasmin Lakshanam Purushottamam Bruhi Karnayorasya Sadasaccha Padatmakam Prakrute Purushasyapi. Both Purusha and Prakriti Lakshanam Purushottamam. If Prakriti and Purusha are the attributes of the Supreme Purusha, Mahapurusha, Bruhi, please tell me, Karnayorasya Sadasaccha Yadatmakam. If both are my understanding is correct, if both are attributes of the Maha Supreme Purusha, why should this creation should be manifest and non-manifest? And all these things should happen at all. Then he answers, Yatra Trigunam Abhyakyam Nityam Sada Sadatmakam Pradhanam Prakrutim Prahur Visesham Visheshavat Tatra Trigunam Abhyaktam. When these gunas combine in a non-manifest form, it is called Pradhana. But when it starts manifest, it becomes Prakriti. What does it mean? Non-manifest and manifest. What is he trying to say? What do you mean by saying Yatra Trigunam Abhyaktam and suddenly become Vyaktam? Why? At the notional level, as a conceptual level, right? You know that there are gunas, the guna means can effect, etc., etc. When you, let's assume that is setting up the table, the coefficient table in your system, in your software. When you're writing the subroutine to call, at that point in time, it is in your idea. As a programmer, it is in your idea level. It is still not written, it's not completed, it's not connected to the sensors, the inputs are not yet come. Therefore, think of this. All of your software engineers, I think, probably will understand easily this concept. Whatever the software you're writing in reality, whatever it will do, first has to happen in your mind. You get that? That is why the whole IT industry or the software is called, it's a thinking industry, right? Why? First of all, everything has to happen in your head. Then you write the pseudo language. It's like having you do the business analysis. You have a discussion. What exactly your objective? What do you want to achieve, etc., etc. At that time, when the BA phase, business analysis phase, all of you know very well, everything is happening across the table. Nobody is writing a single piece of code. Everybody is talking. Why this way? Why that way? Why do you want that? Why? Because the government regulations need it. I have to do it this way. These are all at idea level. Avyaktam, non-manifest way. But then you then write a pseudocode. Then from the pseudocode, you create a software structure, and then you actually write the codes. You actually set up the tables, coordinates, so on and so. Coefficients, data tables, everything you set up for all the program elements to go and pick up. At that time, it becomes a manifest state. Therefore, at the non-manifest state, when everything is merely an intention, it is called pradhana. When it becomes actually into specific, coded into specific jivas, I'm trying to oversimplify here to make you understand. Please have that caution. When it is coded into specific individuals, jivas, species, etc., then it becomes a prakriti. One can logically conclude. There are two ways it could be done. All the rule engines for all the species, for all the time, anywhere in the universe can be dumped as one big rules engine in every life, be it a plant life, human life, cat life. That is one way of doing it. Other way of doing it is tailor it. The whole set is as an idea, it exists at the Avyakta stage, it exists, non-manifest state. But for plant life, the rules engines are different, limited and different. Rules engines which are built for human beings are different. That's another way of doing it. The virtual machines, all these concepts. Whether you want to replicate everything for everybody, or depending on the user, you want to replicate certain things only. These are all the classical problems software structure, people who write software don't deal with. right? I mean, please point out if I'm saying something totally irrelevant in the software industry, right? Then it becomes Prakriti. Panchabihi, Brahma, Chaturmaha, Dashavi Tata. If you remember this conversation, Etachavatu, Vishakitam, Ganam, Pradhanikam, Vidhu. Then he goes around explaining all this, 5 of this, 5 of that, 10 of this, 4 of this. He starts explaining all this structure. So do you now understand why he's going step by step? Starting at the manifest level, the universe level, Mahapurusha level, everything is merely an idea. When even after the universe is created, everything is just an idea before specifically various species are born, created, evolved, whatever you want to call it. But the same, all those things should be resident somewhere in some intelligent principle before creation. Right? Or else the question has to be singularity, question has to be answered. From where did all these things come? Has to be answered. Therefore, axiomatically, as it were, they propose the Narayana concept. Before everything came into being, before material universe even started, there was a non-manifest entity called Narayana. That is how they try to propose your Narayana concept and connect it with non-manifest Purusha in a manifest universe and then manifest Prakriti in a manifest universe. 3 levels of abstraction, I would say. Before creation, all this idea of physical matter, the rules engine for controlling the physical universe, the notion of a jiva, which will transmigrate, the constituent idea, structure or idea, the guna idea, all the indriya idea, all these things were part of an intelligent principle. It has to be intelligence because it has to think, retains these things, and as logically, as per rule engine, it has to launch all these things. Without intelligence, it cannot be done. Therefore, it has to be intelligent. It cannot be material because we're talking about a non-material before creation of the universe. It has to be infinite because we're talking about trillions and trillions of stuff here. Therefore, it has to be massively, infinitely intelligent. And since we know the universe is so vast, it has to be everywhere. It can't be sitting in one corner and then controlled. We all know, physically also, we know large empires, be it Roman Empire, be it the Mughal Empire, be it the Maratha Empire, Gupta Empire. You take any empire which is very, very large, for a period of time breakdown. Why? Because the last frontier, what is happening, etc., ability to control the last frontier is limited. Unless the king is there everywhere, it's impossible to control because the local, the chieftains and satraps, as they call, they break away. You can't control it. Therefore, we also understand logically that if Ishvara principle is valid, it has to be infinite in intelligence, infinite in space, everywhere must be omnipresence, omnipotent. All these are logically derived from the need. It's not just like I told. That is the Narayana principle. In the manifest world, the Purusha, Mahapurusha principle and the ordinary Purusha principle, which is merely a witness, merely the person who drives the intelligence power required. Illumination. We won't even call intelligence power, we call it illumination because even intelligence is an object. Therefore, we call it as Swayam Prakasha. These are the attributes which are used. Sakshi, these are the attributes used. Remember, Kapila said it's Nirguna. It's not easy to define it. Nirguna can be seen as attributeless, is one way of saying. Another way of saying is you just cannot guess it. Forget about it. For you, it is attributeless because you don't know what it is. You're trying to explain, like they say, how do you explain Taj Mahal to a blind person? Person who is born blind, how would you explain? Even if you explain graphically, how would the person understand? He can only understand the way he or she. Therefore, they say that is the Purusha, the witness inside you, inside every living being, which that is what you are, frankly speaking. But because the guna mix is different, you think you are the doer. Because you think you are the doer, you get involved more and more and you get stuck. It's very, very simple, right? I mean, if you get a very simple, ordinary example, if your identification that you are still a child, if that is the identification you have, mental idea you have, you will still be playing with small little dolls. And you will be crying if you simply fall down, you will be crying. You don't cry when you fall down as an adult. Why? Because you no longer think you're a child. You don't play with small little toys and all kind of things. If you remember what you were doing in the childhood days, you're not doing it anymore, even if it's in front of you, even if it's given to you. You don't. Why? Not because you are no longer that person. You are still that person. Whoever was the child, Abhi, is the adult Abhi too. No difference. But the adult Abhi no longer identifies himself to be the child Abhi. That means it has nothing to do with reality. Because he is the same person. Because suddenly he finds he is 6 feet tall and he's got a pepper beard and he is the general manager of a company or whatever. Because of this, he thinks he's no longer the child. Once he decides he's no longer the child, he abandons all the consequential and associated activities of a childhood. Not because of reality, because of the notion. Likewise, because of this Kartrutva Bhokta identification that I am the doer, you get more and more involved, you get stuck. You get more happiness today because you're trying more different things. And tomorrow you are crying much more because your boss fired you. I will give an example from my life. 24 hours, not even 24 hours. Dramatic difference for the same thing. When I was in G World, in G Healthcare, to tell you in one or two lines, I achieved in production something extraordinary. Many of my colleagues from other GE companies in the neighborhood used to tell me, if you achieve this, which your boss wants you, president wants you to make, you're nothing short of Sai Baba. Sai Baba in Bangalore used to make magic, all kind of things. Bring shivling out of thin air, all that he used to do. You're nothing short of Sai Baba. They told, I achieved it. It was not magic, it was extraordinary hard work and pushing everybody to achieve, okay? And because of which, GE recognized me with the most prestigious award they give in the world. It's called the GE President's Club Award. So today evening in a special session, in a public, the annual session or something, the president is giving me GE President's Award. Next day morning, probably 10 hours later, next day morning, a young HR manager, HR person, who is probably 10, 20 years younger than me, she sits in front of me. She fires me left, right, and center for the same thing. She says, what do you think you are? For your ego satisfaction getting that award, you took the team through such a horrible 6 months. What other general managers in the, when the other GE companies called it Sai Baba effect, you made it in that ego trip. She called it ego trip. In that ego trip, people are burnt out. People want to quit. You see, activity is the same, result is same. What I think about it and what she thought about it is different. Even though both of us, the president is the common boss. He's the head of HR, I'm the head of manufacturing. President is same person, common person. So probably she was the one who recommended me for GE. HR has to give a recommendation, right? Or to approval. Maybe she was the one who accepted and recommended also for award. That was yesterday night. Today morning, I am not that guy. I am now representing the employees who feel burnt out. Therefore, it is what you think you are makes you get involved in a particular way and then get stuck there. That is why he says, if you Chitta, if you really, that's why it's called moha, you get confused. Okay, then obviously, all these things I don't want to repeat. We have gone through detail how this one came, this manas came, what happens, all those things, right? Does it make sense now? I mean, I think all of you had a similar question. So I decided to give a recap of the last session in a slightly different perspective. Hope this gives you better clarity than before. What do you think?
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. What do you say, Abhi? You,
Yeah. I mean, it's good that you slowly brought the concept back in, and why they proposed the Purusha, and then eventually you said Narayana Tattva. So that gives some different kind of background. Obviously, I'm gonna going to sleep on this, but yeah.
yeah. What do you say, Rashmi?
We went through these topics, like as you said, and I asked those questions then, Paddy Uncle. So I'm slowly digesting on this
Yeah,
session also what we are going through. So good. Thank you. It was a good session. Thank you.
it will take time. That is why I don't mind doing it multiple different ways, the same thing, because you got to get a hang of that. The problem, in my opinion, is that thanks to the modern world, we have picked up a lot of information, not knowledge. We read things, we hear things. Every day somebody comes on YouTube and talks something. We go to so many satsangs. Anybody and everybody can organize satsang. We hear things. So we have got a lot of information dumped into our head. But we are not able to make a sense of those things because obviously different people are either saying different things about the same thing or different perspective of the same thing. So it's pretty confusing. And these things have to be logically taught, trained and taught, systematically built up. That is why in the earlier days, there used to be a Gurukul where you go through a formal session. But let's not blame that 100% because let's see what this conversation is also. Even though Devahuti had the luxury or the fortunate enough to have a husband who knew all those things, under family pressure, under her priorities, not family pressure, the priorities she set up, she did not ask these questions. I'm very sure the husband keeps on talking about it. He must have been training a lot of others. She must be hearing all those things. No internet, no television, but people are coming to him and talking to him, right? If you know something, people always come and talk to you to understand what you know. She asked the same questions like we are asking today. For us, the problem is multiplied because we have so much of information source bombarded every day. So I am trying to, like I gave the example of a large movie, unless I give some insight, I give some information, some explanation which addresses your doubts and curiosity today, you will not sustain interest for 6 months. And Bhagavata cannot be completed like the way I am doing in 6 months. Not possible. I don't know how many years it will take with the speed at which you are going. Isn't it? Therefore, I'm not saying you have to listen to him for years. Not at all. That's not at all my recommendation. After some time, you may learn yourself also through somebody else also. That does not matter. But the quest to understand Bhagavata, it will take your entire lifetime. Very huge. And if you have to sustain the interest for the lifetime and probably carry forward the interest in the next life also, your current curiosity should be satisfied a little bit at least. That's why I'm saying I tell you only one difference. There could be multiple, but let me tell you one to put you at ease. Narayana Tattva was created to explain the relevance and logical possibility of what we are saying today before the creation. The Purusha Tattva was created to explain how things happen, why things happen after the creation. Therefore, we should not get mixed up. And the Sharamsa, or was gist of whatever I've been telling now so far, is that the problem is because of the mistaken notion that we are the doer. We are merely a witness. We are not the doer. We are compelled to do because of the data table, the guna mix and other coefficients are there. Not because of the other day. We are merely a witness to whatever is happening. If we understand we are merely the witness, then we will not get involved more and more. We will not project ourselves to be this and that and all kind of things. We will recognize whether I am at office as a general manager, whether I am at home as a father, husband, son, brother, whatever, daughter, whatever. Is friends as friends. All these things merely play. We are merely a witness. If we retain that experiential understanding 24/7, then we are done. We have won the game. Now we have only a notional understanding of what this witness bhava, Sakshi Bhava is all about. We are not able to have 100% understanding, nor are we able to use that as the platform 24/7. Okay, that is what I think all the questions that you asked today, I think that would be the recap which can help you understand. It is on 15, so I will stop here. Let me first stop sharing. And if you guys have any comment to make, you can talk about it. Yeah.
Just one question.
Yes.
Kaiser.
Go ahead.
So you should act like a witness.
Yeah.
Right? You should not consider that you are doing or karma or katrutva, whatever it is, right? How can that is possible? If you are like, for example, if you are doing some work without you owning, how can you do just by witnessing? You got to own it, right? And to do it something. And for example, you want to eat an ice cream. You cannot just, you need to get that feeling of interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will give a short answer and a long answer will give next time perhaps. Short answer is that exactly is the problem. What you're asking exactly is the problem. Therefore, there are techniques, right? Multiple techniques are there. Some are light and comfortable. It's called the devotional method. Some are a little hard. It's called the contemplation method. Some are differently hard. It is called the yoga method. Because there are several methods, tools have been given, which will help us clearly understand how to be active, how to be very involved, how to be hyperactive, but without getting involved. How to do that? Because this kartrutva, bhoktrutva is not physical. It is an idea. For example, if I ask you, how are you able to successfully drop the notion that you are a child? Why are you not assuming a child bhava? How? With the same person, why are you no longer enjoying the same thing which you enjoyed when you were a child? Why? Because you dropped the notion of being a child. How did you achieve it?
No, because I don't like anymore the things. I like new
correct.
things.
Correct. Therefore, at this point in our life, you reassess what you were doing as a child and reassess and say it's no longer enjoyable to me. It's not me. I won't do it. Same logic, if you expand it, then you recognize. But at the same time, does it prevent you from doing the childish things when your child wants to play with you?
No.
You get the point?
Yes.
It's not that you're 100% you're not doing. You are not doing on your own. But if you are with children, your own child or anybody neighborhood child, you still act and behave like a child. Knowing fully well that is nonsense. Oh, there's a boot here. Oh my God, what's happening? And the small little child will come and give a punch. Oh my God, so painful, you say. Knowing fully well it's a play, you do it. You are fully active there. The objective of that is met.
So
But
something like, I just want to one.
you got it right?
Yes, I got it.
Even during that process, you know you are not the child.
Okay. Something like, I like ice creams or I like sweets. I know I'm a diabetic patient, but I like sweets. How can in this case I want to stop it? Something is bothering to eat that, but
Correct.
that is why how can you do act as a witness here? Right?
You can, because you redefine who you are. Then you know that the Naveen who is enjoying the sweet is going to be unhealthy Naveen.
So I'll just observe that, but Naveen will go and eat it.
No, he won't.
He-
Because identification changes. No, there are two Naveens. Naveen who doesn't mind being unhealthy, but who I won't say that. Let me rephrase that. There's one Naveen who just likes this, goes and eats. There's another Naveen who thinks that if I eat a sweet, it may give me momentary pleasure, but it's going to shorten my life.
Correct.
Then what happens is this Naveen, the healthy Naveen, will slowly eliminate the unhealthy Naveen.
No, if we think like that, for example, if in the way you said, like Sakshi, okay, something is saying that, okay, if you eat that one, you will definitely, it's not good for your health. If you don't eat that one, then it will be good health. So that is Sakshi, but somebody is doing, like Naveen is actually doing, you can still observe, like, okay, this guy is eating, he'll go back. This guy is not eating, he go. That is also Sakshi, right?
That is very true. That means there is a third Naveen who has a choice to be a healthy Naveen or unhealthy Naveen. Right? For example, there are people like Ramana Maharshi or Ramakrishna Paramahansa, so many other yogis are there who knew that if they overexert and talk to people all the time, they're going to have problem, physical ailment, they're going to die. But they decided that, okay, for the sake of mankind, I will do that. If the body dies, it dies, it doesn't matter. That is a Sakshi Bhava. So if you have a third Naveen which has gone to the level of a Sakshi Bhava and still decide that let the body be unhealthy, eat sweets and die. Right? That theoretically that is still possible. But think from another point. You think from another point of view. Why would a person who has mastered the Sakshi Bhava think that the sweets are going to be tasteful? Why would he think? Because the tasty is also as good as non-tasty. You drop that.
Mhm.
So the way to get a Sakshi Bhava is to demolish the notions of likes and dislikes. Only then you become a Sakshi Bhava. Because
No,
likes,
it
likes
is. Yeah.
no, listen to this. Likes
Yes.
and dislikes are always associated with the Kartrutva Bhava. I like. Like does not hang in air. I like.
Hmm.
That means you're identifying. I dislike. It does not hang. Dislike does not hang in air. I dislike.
But the Sakshi Bhava, it has nothing to do with eating or not eating. It's just a Sakshi. But at the end of the day, what is happening? You go and your end of the day, what you are doing is you're tying up to a not eating, right? That is what you're doing. It's not even Sakshi anymore. You're inclined towards not eating. Then.
No. Hold on. What you're trying to do is, I am trying to say what causes a non-Sakshi Bhava. The likes and dislikes cause non-Sakshi Bhava. To solve that, you have to demolish the idea of likes and dislikes. Then you get the Sakshi Bhava. Right? Then what you're doing is you're extending that.
Yes.
After demolishing likes and dislikes, after getting the Sakshi Bhava, can I still eat sweet is the question you're asking.
Mhm.
Theoretically, yes. But logically, does it make sense?
Doesn't make sense. That's what
Already demolish ab initio as a priori, you demolish the likes and dislikes constant. Then why would a Sakshi Bhava go and eat?
Hmm.
You are asking this question from the point of view of a person who has not gotten into the Sakshi Bhava yet. You put yourself in Sakshi Bhava, why would the notion of I like sweet even exist? You've broken that. Then only you reached here, right? Like, for example, you saw the Chandrayaan launched, right?
Mhm.
There was a road bridge kind of a thing through which they get in the, right? It's unmanned, I'm just saying, right? They have to disconnect the bridge, right? Otherwise, either it will blow up the whole center or tower, or the rocket cannot go at all.
Agree. But when is Sakshi, doesn't matter. If he eats, it won't stick to, right? Doesn't matter.
From the standpoint of a non-Sakshi Bhava person,
Yes, from that point.
as a person who has a Kartrutra Bhoktutra problem, yes, it does not matter. That's what your mind will tell. So what? Let him eat.
Hmm.
But will he is the question.
He won't eat, but
He won't.
if he eats also, it should not affect him. That's what I'm saying. Is it?
Yes. If that is, the question is different. For example, Krishna is best example of a person who lived a colorful life, fully active from childhood death, totally active, but never involved, because throughout he had a Sakshi Bhava. Yes, if you have mastered the Sakshi Bhava to the level of Krishna, you can do that. There are many people, for example, my guru in Sringeri has pointed out, who are grandmothers with a lot of children, etc., grandchildren, etc. They point out that that lady is Jivan Mukta. Whereas he wouldn't say the same thing to a lot of other sannyasis who are doing a lot of tapas. He wouldn't say that about them, but he will tell about this. My own mentor was hyperactive. He did his PhD when he was in undergrad itself. He is called as Jivan Mukta by my guru. He was hyperactive. Now he has become totally inward. He doesn't talk to anybody, meet anybody. But fact of the matter, he was hyperactive. Therefore, if we have mastered this, in fact, I mean, it's a little advanced conversation. You drank it a little sooner, but still I will say this to satisfy curiosity. Great yoga books and Shastra books do say that depending upon what that particular jiva is, what that particular jiva's, unburned karma is, it can take a different types of external level of life. You may think that person is having nice food, enjoying, etc., but he's not, because he's got a Sakshi Bhava. But he still get involved. Whereas some people who attain liberation as a Jivan Muktas, they disappear. They don't get involved. It's different. Why different? Because they say whatever remnant karma is there, it takes them different route. From their point of view, Sakshi Bhava people will not. They were. If you want to make it a little more clearer, though it is approximation, the difference is, if you don't have a Sakshi Bhava, you will hanker after the sweet. Oh my God, I will not eat gulam jamun for a long time. I want to eat it. Let me go to the shop and bring it, and you go buy and eat it. You'll hanker after it. If you have a Sakshi Bhava, you will not hanker after it. If somebody comes and gives gulab jamun, you will eat it. You're not dying to eat it. You're not looking forward to eat it. You're hankering. You're not doing anything like that. But you go to your friend's house, for example. I'm not putting myself in the slot. I'm just giving the activity example I'm saying. I generally avoid sweets because my blood pressure went up, but sugar went up. Generally, I avoid sweet. But when I come to your house, somebody's house, I don't talk about it at all. You must eat something. I've reduced eating sweet. I strategically, I've reduced because, nowadays healthy living and all this, age, etc. No, for my sake, at least a small cup. Right? Even yesterday, when my friend came, I met him for a long time, he came. And my wife made kheer, I had a cup. Because we don't want to create a scene and make the conversation over on my health and things like that. Quietly eat. I'm not dying for it. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not hankering on it. I'm not asking, can we make a sweet today? Can I go and win? No, that is the difference. I hope this approximate definition helps you understand what is the difference between Sakshi Bhava and Kartrutva Bhava.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Paddy Uncle, just so that I elaborate on that, right? The Sakshi Bhava thing is not the doer. If it comes across, it's okay. But if you're the doer, you think you're in control, you want to go and eat the sweet without consequences, it won't happen. So basically, if you extrapolate, right, all material things will give you unhappiness. So you want to have that Sakshi Bhava kind of in all material pleasures.
Correct.
So that you can avoid them. Come across, you will take it. I mean, you just got to take your life.
Very good point you mentioned, the controllership, right? When you have Kartrutva, Bhoktutva, Bhava, you are not in control. Gulab Jamun is in control. When you have a Sakshi Bhava, you are in control, like we just now said. All of us jivas, though we have element of Purusha in us, we are constrained to act as per the rule engine called Prakruti. But when avatars come, Rama, Krishna, and those kind of avatars come, they are in control. It's out of their choice, they want to follow the rules engine. There's a big difference. So don't judge on based on what you externally see as an activity. See from the intent point of view. Point of view to shift. Okay. Think about it. And next Bhagavata class again, we will. What we will do. Do you have any question, Rashmi? I think for some time.
I'm good, Paddy uncle. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. So what we will do is digest this, think over these points of conversation, and I don't mind redoing it again and different perspective next time. And this is very important. This understanding these verses is very, very important. In fact, the whole chapter is very important.
Actually, Paddy uncle, can you share that PDF one more
Yeah.
time? One that you
That's what I
currently.
want to ask.
What is it?
Maybe the current PDF that you have. Sorry, I was searching a long time.
Which
You
one?
know,
Which one? Oh, I didn't hear you. What was that?
the PDF that you're reading from. The
Oh, okay. The PDF, what I'm reading from is just what I created from Bhagavata because it's so massive. So yeah,
not the diagram, but the slokas.
I understand. I can share this again, not an issue.
Okay, yeah.
But this will keep on changing because every week I prepare.
Okay.
I don't want to make a big document, so I'll delete certain portion, add something. I will do things in such a way that you can add one after one. So you can add. I will do that. Yeah.
Okay.
But bear in mind, it is driven by my likes and dislikes, my biases that I choose some slokas. That is the best combination. I don't know. Please have that in mind.
No, fair enough. Yeah. No, I got it.
I will send you. Not an issue. Yeah.
Okay.
Paddy sir, just one question I want to ask. I don't want to spend more time. Just one question.
Yes.
You gave the example, right? The Brahman come in as a Rama or Krishna, and they don't have karma. They will do it, right? For the example's sake. If Rama knows everything and then he's just playing, then where is the greatness of Rama?
Okay. Why should Rama be great at all? That is your
Because he knows everything in and out, our past, present, future, and he knows everything, right?
If you read Valmiki Ramayana, because he was born as a human being, because he voluntarily decided to follow the rules in chain, he refuses to be accepted as a great person at all. He says, I don't know what you're talking about. I am just son of Dasharatha.
No, he's doing that role, but internally he knows, okay, end of the day, he's just playing. But if, for example, you are there, I'm playing, right? If I know story, whole screenplay, everything, what is the end? Is it that interesting then without knowing, like without living? He knows everything, right?
Therefore,
what? Because I am in the impression that Rama is just as a human being. He did what we are doing, like that is why his greatness, right? We cannot do, but he can do. But when he is a god, he can do everything.
that is very true, very true. Of course, if you recognize him to be Ishvara, then whatever he has done is nothing.
Right.
So what?
So I'm just saying, like not like a argument point of view. So
I'm trying to see logically where you're leading me. Therefore, so what?
Therefore, how it will give an example to the human beings, like he's an example.
That is very true. That is why, again, minds are different. Like that's why I talked about multitude of creation. Guna karma, gunas mix it. That's what we just now read, right? There are certain minds which, like you rightly say, oh, he's a great God. So what is the big deal? He's not a great. So why are you telling me all those things? Only gods can achieve that. Some people react like that. They do. Whereas some people understand that. So what? Whether from his point of view he did a great thing or not, for me, am I able to whatever he did, whether he's God or not, whatever he did, I'm not able to. Therefore, he's role model for me. Some people approach it that way. Therefore, for different minds, different solutions are given.
Got it. Okay.
Therefore, the conversation which a mind will dismiss everything, saying that if you hypothetically, if hypothesize he's a God who is born, whatever he did is nothing great. So I don't want to discuss Rama. Bring me something else. Yes, of course, there are people who say that. There are enough people who do not want to discuss. They call it as theology nonsense. They dismiss it out. I don't want that. Tell me something else. That is why, if you remember, I talked about something called Nirishwaravadi Nirishwara Sankhya or Mimamsa, I told about. There are people like that. That's why they created their own set of approach, their own framework, their own logic, etc., which does not bring the Ishvara element at all. Because their argument is, first of all, some people argue, logically speaking, the concept of Ishvara is untenable. You cannot prove it, you cannot sustain. And more importantly, not required. Karma is powerful by itself. Why do we need a Ishvara? Not necessary. There are people like that. So they have a different set of approach. Right? The only thing is we have to recognize that different types of people, we also fall in one particular category. We are not in everywhere. We are in one particular category of people, and therefore certain things only will appeal to us and we stick to it. Accepting people who are born to be Jagat Gurus. If you are born as a Jagat Guru, it means it's not that you are Guru for the world. That is the wrong understanding. That means if anybody from the world asks, you should be able to guide. It's a responsibility, not a definition. If you are responsible to guide anybody from the world, then you should know that there are multiple types of people. They have different way of approaching. You should know all those things. Only for them, they have to master everything else. Or traditionally we believe only those who are born with this mastery over multiple types of knowledge, varieties and all, only they get selected as Jagat Guru. For example, if you go to Shankaracharya Sringeri Mutt, there may be one Jagat Guru and there may be so many other Swamijis. All are not called Jagat Gurus. Only he gets the title called Jagat Guru because based on all his past karma and also many different things, he has the ability to master variety of stuff. In fact, they used to say there is a very great scholar once upon a time, hundreds of years back, called Vyasatirtha in Vaishnava Madhva Sampradaya. He was so good in every type of philosophy. In Kanchipuram, he was running an institute, in education, higher institute, let us say. So if people, Dvaitis go there, he will teach them Dvaitis. If Nyaya guys go, he will teach them Nyaya. If Advaitis go, he will teach them Advaita. As if he is Advaita Guru. He is the guy who criticizes Advaita. But still, when he teaches Advaita to an Advaita guy, he will be following only exactly that. Because he mastered so many different things. But everybody is not Vyasatirtha, right? Therefore, for us, out of curiosity, you want to know everything. But we may not have the faculty to know everything. That's why we get confused. Clearly. That is why many times I say, I don't like to go everywhere. I don't like to go every bhajan, every satsang. I don't want to go. What's the point? My mind will react differently. It can cause discord also. I will say something. I don't go. My mind is gone one particular, I stick to it. It's a choice. That's the way I can explain.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right then.
Okay.
Okay. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Bye.